Hello and welcome to another Spectrum Geeks video. My name is Dale, and in today's video we're going to talk about the solar install I had done a year ago. Am I happy with it? How is it performing? And what is the payback looking like for that? So thanks for tuning in. So towards the end of April last year, 2024, I had a 5.16 kilowatt solar array installed on my extension of my garage. It's an in-roof system, and that connects back to a 5 kilowatt GivEnergy hybrid inverter, and connected to that is two 9.5 kilowatt hour GivEnergy batteries. So that was part of the install. We'll come back to the cost in a moment, but just for clarity's sake, I also have a Tesla Powerwall 2 that is kind of connected into that system, which obviously has a storage capacity of 13.5 kilowatt hours, and that was brought from my old setup. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know at my old house I had a 9 kilowatt hour solar array and a Tesla Powerwall 2 all connected into that, and I brought the battery with me, and that's excluded from the costs because that was already paid for in the payback of the old system. But I would just mention it here because when you see some of the stats from the GivEnergy system in terms of where the solar generation has gone and where some of the grid pull comes from, obviously the solar generation and charging from the grid does do an element of charging up the Tesla Powerwall 2, so that's why the kind of numbers look a bit squiffy, but that is kind of factored out of the rest of the stats and the payback, if that makes sense. So let's talk about the system. So relatively straightforward system. As mentioned, it's an in-roof install on a garage roof, so double garage, 12 panels altogether. If you watch the original video, it's a bit of a screw up. It was supposed to be like 5.2 something kilowatt solar array, but they put lower capacity panels on, so that's why we had the kind of 5.16 kilowatts. Connects directly back into that hybrid inverter, works really well. Also has the EPS backup circuit thing, which works well as well. And then there's two GivEnergy batteries, and I am thinking when I can afford it in the future I will probably get a third. Part of the reason of me getting solar again is, I think it's good to be able to kind of manage and understand some of the electricity costs. But over the 2 years I've been at this new house, we've been slowly moving everything off of gas, and actually just last month we got the gas disconnected. So that's why I have the solar panels. That was as many as I could get on that roof. I want to get some other panels in the future. I want to get more batteries, so in the winter we can run the air conditioning, heating and everything off of there because we no longer have gas. So if we look at the solar install and the batteries, at the time of install, and I did get a bit of discount due to a bit of the cock up with the panels being wrong, that install cost me £13,491.97. So that was the cost of the install. And right now, and I'll go through kind of how this gets made up in a moment, it's looking like with the current cost of electricity and the generation and the usage and everything last year, or in the last year, payback is currently looking to be 7.6 years. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. And in my experience of my last solar system, which I managed to pay back in 5 years, or just over 5 years, as things progress, the cost of electricity is probably going to go up. Other things are going to happen. Our usage increases. I'm relatively confident that that payback time will reduce from 7 to get probably closer to 6 or 7. But we'll see. We'll do an update in a year's time and see things, how they're performing. So that is also what I call the non-rose tinted version. So we've got electric cars. Obviously we're not using gas anymore because everything's being done by electric. So there are other savings that we're benefiting from having the solar generation and having the batteries that I've not equated into this. If you were to look at the fact that we're no longer having gas costs and these other things, it would increase the payback, but I try and look at things quite factually. So if I look at the stats overall for the whole year, In terms of the energy generated, and again we go through the GivEnergy stats in a moment, this is my own spreadsheet that I kind of monitor things in. We generated 4,211.55 kilowatt hours of energy. In terms of what we could actually use, so either supplying the house or going into the batteries, we were able to self-consume 3,891.92 kilowatt hours. And so basically that saved us over the whole year £973.68 in terms of electricity we didn't have to buy from the grid. But obviously we do still buy energy from the grid, especially now that we get paid a little bit for putting back into the grid, which we'll come on to in a moment. We still do obviously some exports, so exports happened. So we exported 330.62 kilowatt hours over the year. We have minimal export because again we are charging up those batteries and everything, and we got paid £41.51 for the export. Again, so not life changing, but definitely better than nothing. And then over the whole year, because obviously we've put energy at the cheap rates into the batteries and then be able to consume that during peak time, that has saved us £758.45 over the whole year. Basically being able to use energy that costs us 7 pence per kilowatt hour instead of like 30 odd pence or whatever it is. So that has a saving. So when we look at the free electricity that we've generated, we haven't had to pull from the grid, the export we've been paid for, and then the savings on battery, that brings us to £1,773.64. So that's kind of how we get kind of into the payback pot for the year. Obviously then we divide that by how much the install costs, which gives that kind of 7.5-ish kind of year. So if energy costs go up, the payback increases. If how much we get paid or for the grid changes, that increases or decreases different things. So there's various different factors that are going on that kind of cover that off. So for me, overall I'm really generally happy with how the install has worked and has performed. I'll be completely honest, I was kind of spoiled at my last house because I had a really large roof. I had that 9 kilowatt solar array back to I think it was a 6 kilowatt inverter. So because the array was so large, a large majority of the time I was always generating around 6 kilowatts. So the system there did perform really, really well. Obviously this system doesn't perform quite as well. It's smaller, it's a smaller capacity. There isn't really any surplus, which is why I'd like to get some other panels on some other roofs in the future. But I think all things considered, for generally a 5 kilowatt solar array, I think it's working pretty well. I'm really happy with the GivEnergy batteries and the EPS capability. So the new part of the house I've had on that. So we've had a couple of power cuts, and it's meant I can still work in the office and everything. That works really, really well. So happy with that. If we have a little look at the GivEnergy stats, again, slight differences between the stats that I gave you from the spreadsheet, but just so you can get somewhat of an overall. And obviously when it says battery to home and grid to home, just keep in mind that sometimes that grid to home or battery to home is actually going into the Tesla Powerwall 2 as well. And I will do another video now that, again, I've had this set up for a year, how well the Tesla batteries and the GivEnergy batteries are working together, because often you'll get told by installers you can't have two different batteries working together. You can't have an AC and a DC battery working together. That's a no-no. You can. It's working, and I'm really happy with how that's working actually. So let's have a look at the GivEnergy stats. So we'll start off at the top. We can see overall of the whole year 20.89 megawatt hours of energy in total for consumption. Small part of that obviously has come from solar, so 2.93 megawatt hours coming in. Some of that is obviously from the battery. This is the GivEnergy batteries, 5.29 megawatt hours, and then from the grid 12.67 megawatt hours. These are high numbers, definitely for sure. Again, if you've not watched the channel before, my wife and I, we both work from home full time, multiple computers going, working in IT as well. So we've got servers that are running as well, again, everything's on electric. 2 electric cars we're charging. 3 batteries that we charge up overnight. Again, the whole house is on electric cooker, electric hob. We have air conditioning and heating. It's all electric infrared heating panels. A couple of kids that have got iPads and computers and all that sort of stuff. So it is high usage, definitely. And that's why we're trying to do what we can to minimise the cost. We could probably do more, if I'm honest, but trying to balance kind of life and things as well. So in terms of self-consumption, one thing I'm really happy with is 91.1% self-consumption. So yes, even though we do get paid for giving it back, in my opinion, it's best if we can use it as much as possible. I also think I could increase my payback, but currently I don't do any battery export to that. I keep all the battery energy for myself to use when the sun goes down. And like right now in the summer, I could probably benefit from that because we still have most evenings, we've still got 50% battery left in the GivEnergy batteries, and the Tesla Powerwall 2 is absolutely full. We could probably earn more. So in terms of the GivEnergy stats, it says, if we didn't have this solar setup and we didn't have the batteries, we would have spent just over £4,000, and we've saved some money because it would have only cost us 3,796. Those numbers are roughly close. To be honest, again, they are high numbers. Electricity costs are mega, but again, going back, electric cars, saving money on fuel, all those sort of things. But I'm not getting too bogged down in the cost. That is what it is. But if we look at the generation, again, as we see here, solar generation 3,991.55 kilowatt hours. Large majority of that goes to the home, powering everything. Some of that's going to the battery, and then obviously a little bit going back to the grid. And the little chart on the side gives a good indication of kind of grid still plays a really significant part in our setup. So it's not about being off grid. Again, I think we could probably do more to minimize grid usage, but again, because we can charge up off peak on Intelligent Octopus Go, and again, if you are looking to move to Octopus, please use the referral code. Both you and I will get £50 credit, which is absolutely fantastic. Really happy with Octopus and their customer service. But again, we can get that energy for only 7 pence a kilowatt at night. It makes sense to pull from the grid and fill up the batteries, and then any solar export that we have, we can get paid 15 pence for. So it just makes sense. Whereas previously, I would do the opposite. I would try and minimise my pull from the grid, do everything from solar as much as possible. But times have changed with getting paid for the export. And also at my last house, the reason the payback happened quite quickly is we had the feed-in tariff payments as well, where obviously it didn't matter if you exported or not, you got some money from there. So we can see obviously the system was installed late 2024, so big bulk of the energy generated then, and obviously much smaller at 2025 in terms of how we look at things. That's not really that helpful, the yearly pieces. If we look at the charging and discharging, you can see that's somewhat similar regardless of the year in terms of the time frames, but again, we get a lot out of the batteries. That's really helpful. Again, grid stuff also probably not helpful, but it just give you some idea if you're looking at getting this system, the kind of information you can get in the background from the GivEnergy charts. So I hope this video is somewhat helpful. Again, lots of people say different things about solar and other things. I still think it makes sense if you obviously can afford it. It is a big investment up front. But you know, this particular system in terms of how things are set up, it's going to last me for years to come. I think like 25 years in terms of performance of some of the parts. Warranties are good on the inverters and batteries, and you can extend those in the future. So yes, worst case, possibly at the moment, 7.5 years to pay back. I'm definitely comfortable with that. And then after that 7.5 years, it's all kind of free extra payback, right? It's going to be saving me like over £1,500 a year. And again, as we get older and do different things and kids grow up, energy consumption will reduce as well. So Let me know your thoughts. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comment section and I will come back to you. How is your solar system set up? Do you regret getting solar? Do you wish you'd done more? I personally wish, if I could afford it, I would have bought another battery already and I would have had solar already put on other parts of the house to increase the generation, especially in the winter months. I did forget to say at the beginning, I put an overlay, the solar install is south facing, so kind of optimal, but there is shadowing from kind of trees on the one side, and then part of the house, the old house, overshadows on it as well. So not optimal. I guess I will just finish off by saying that I did give some consideration to getting optimizers, which I had on my old system, and I'm not sure actually now if I probably should have done a bit more mapping to work out if the optimizers would have helped or not, because with that shadowing from the trees, there is a significant part in the morning, even in the summer, where the generation is restricted because of the shadowing on kind of half of the things. But not enough regret that I feel like getting those panels off and putting Tigo optimizers on or anything, but just something to consider. Part of the problem I had is because there was no building in the location where I had the solar panels installed. It sounds stupid, but it wasn't obvious to me that those trees were creating shadows, because on the house before the extension was there were no shadows, but obviously then when you build something, then things are different. I'll also put down below here what the installer said the performance would be like. From memory, I think they said the system would perform a bit better. However, that was based on the original quote, and obviously they didn't install what they originally quoted in terms of the panel size and stuff, so that would have skewed things a little bit. But thanks as always for watching. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself, and bye.